Hello guys, this is part 2 for What If Naruto Was the Time Sage, so yeah, basically part 2, so let's get started. And we will finish on Zabuza arc, so yeah. You're late. Sorry. I was on my way here when I suddenly became lost on the road of life, said Kakashi, causing everyone to sweat drop. Is this going to be a normal thing? Asked Naruto as he quietly activated his eyes. Wait, I don't need my dojutsu for this. He's been late 3 times out of 3 already, of course this is going to be a regular thing. So anyways, today we start our duties as shinobi of this village. The other day, you asked me why training was so important, and that you thought you did enough of it in the academy, said Kakashi. Well, I'll tell you now that a shinobi should never stop training if they hope to accomplish their goals. Therefore, we'll train for the mornings until lunch, and then we'll do a mission. Sound good? No one really had any complaints. That was until Kakashi started them on some ridiculous team-building exercises. If they thought those team-building exercises were lame, just wait until the mission that awaited them. What's the distance to the target? Kakashi called out through the wireless radio. 5 meters. I'm ready anytime, called Sasuke. So am I. Me too. Okay. On my mark, go. Kakashi called out as the 3 genin dove out of their hiding place to capture their target. Gotcha, exclaimed Naruto. NYAA, screamed the cat, which Naruto now had in a grapple. Ribbon on the left ear, are you sure this is the target, Tora? Asked Kakashi. Yeah, we're sure, replied Sasuke. Good. Lost pet Tora retrieval mission complete, said Kakashi as Naruto was busy getting his face torn up by a pair of cat claws. Minutes later. Oh my cute little Tora-chan. I was so worried, squealed Madame Shinji, the wife of the fire daimyo and the owner of Tora. No wonder it ran away, thought Sakura, as she witnessed the strangling of the cat at the hands of its owner. Ha! In your face, you stupid cat, exclaimed Naruto. Good job, Team Kakashi, you are finished for today. Report back tomorrow for your mission, addressed the Hokage. Man, that was a lame first mission. I thought being a ninja was all about saving princesses or battling other ninja, replied Naruto as they exited the room. Well, you've all gotta start somewhere, said Kakashi. Now same place, same time tomorrow. Are we going to get a better mission tomorrow? Asked Naruto. Perhaps, said Kakashi before shining away. Well, that was lame. Who's up for ramen? Asked Naruto. Fine, but only if you're treating, said Sakura. Sasuke just shrugged. Oi, Shikamaru. The lazy Nara yawned before turning around to see Team 7 walking towards him. He was with Choji and a semi-reluctant Ino, who was still pouting about not being put on Sasuke's team, unlike her rival Sakura. Naruto? I see you guys made it through the test, said Shikamaru. We're going to grab ramen. Wanna join us and talk it over? Asked Naruto. Meh, why not? Shrugged Shikamaru. Choji had no complaints with ramen, or anything edible for that matter. By the time Team 7 and Team 10 arrived at Ichiraku, Sakura and Ino were practically at each other's throats arguing over who got to sit next to Sasuke. I see, so you guys had to get bells from your sensei, said Shikamaru. I bet Sasuke-kun got a bell within seconds of the test starting, said Ino, who was still fighting with Sakura over the seating. Actually, the only one who got a bell was the dobe over there, said Sasuke as he pointed to Naruto. And I'm still wondering how. There's something more about the dobe. He said he'll tell us in time, so I'll give him a little longer before I push it some more. Wow, way to go Naruto, congratulated Choji. Yeah, and then he went ahead and traded the bell for lunch, said Sakura. That sounds like a good trade to me, replied Choji. Anything that deals with food is a good trade in your mind, said Ino. Yeah, but in the end it was all a trick to see if we could work together, said Naruto. Yeah, that's the trick to these tests. My dad told me all about them, said Choji. So what did you guys have to do? Asked Sakura. Asuma-sensei had us navigate an obstacle course that we had to work together on to complete. There's a reason the three of us were put together on a team, explained Shikamaru. Our families work well together, and that's what Asuma-sensei wanted to see. I see. So what sort of mission did you get? Asked Sakura. Troublesome kids. Groaned Shikamaru. We were stuck babysitting a bunch of brats, sighed Ino. So you didn't get any sort of awesome mission either? Asked Naruto. I think there's something fishy about these D-ranks. We were stuck catching a stupid cat. Ouch, that must have been a complete drag, said Shikamaru. You're late. Once again, Kakashi was 2 hours late to meet with his team. They had been together for over 2 weeks now, and every day, it was the same exact story. Kakashi would be late, they would do some lame team building exercise, and then get stuck with an even lamer mission. So today, Kakashi was cut off. No. We don't want any stinkin' team building exercise. We want to learn some cool ninja skill, declared Naruto, as he just plopped himself down on top of one of the training posts. During Kakashi's tardiness, Naruto had taken it upon himself to ensure that what they were doing today wasn't what they had been doing for the past 2 weeks. So you want to learn a cool ninja skill? Asked Kakashi, as he just looked at them before making a smile with his eye. Well, they have been completing the team building exercises, even if Naruto and Sasuke would tend to get a little competitive. Okay, fine, said Kakashi. But if I teach you a cool ninja skill, you will have to do 2 D-ranks today, and no training, as tomorrow will be all training. Sighing, Team 7 accepted the proposition. Their D-ranks for the day: weeding a garden and picking up trash out of a river. Man, today sucked, thought Naruto as he made his way back from cleaning up the river. It was also a day like today when Naruto was thanking the stars for his bloodline as he nearly destroyed a woman's herb garden, thinking they were weeds, and almost fell off the waterfall in the river they were picking trash out of. I just hope what Kakashi-sensei has in store for us tomorrow is as awesome as he says it is. No, he said it was a surprise, but what if it's lame? For the rest of the night, Naruto was contemplating on checking if what Kakashi had in store for them was worth double-duty D-ranks. In the end, he decided to trust Kakashi this once, but if it was more lame team-building exercises, he'd be keeping a much closer eye on Kakashi's plans for them. The next day, a miracle happened. Kakashi wasn't 2 hours late. No, Kakashi was almost 3 hours late as he arrived to see 3 fuming Genin glaring at him. Okay, just calm down you 3, said Kakashi. I promised you I'd teach you something, and I will. First, tell me what you know about chakra. Sakura was the first to speak, going into a detailed, textbook explanation on what chakra was and how it is used in the ninja world. So Kakashi-sensei, what does that have to do with this super cool ninja skill you're going to teach us? Well, what I'm going to be teaching you will help you with your chakra. More specifically, using your chakra for jutsus you may cast, said Kakashi. What I'm going to teach you are a few chakra control exercises. So what exactly are these chakra control exercises used for? Asked Naruto, hoping this wasn't another lame team-building exercise. Kakashi went into an explanation about how jutsus use chakra, and how to optimize the chakra better by learning to control your chakra better. What really got Naruto's attention through was that the better your chakra control was, the easier it would be for you to learn and master jutsus. I'm going to teach you 2 chakra control exercises that have practical uses amongst ninja. The first of these exercises, which I estimate will take you the rest or the week at least, is tree climbing, said Kakashi. But we already know how to climb trees, sensei, said Naruto. Yes, but can you climb trees without your hands? Asked Kakashi as he did a demonstration on a nearby tree, sticking his feet to the trunk and walking up the tree like nothing. Kakashi let out a slight giggle when he saw the looks on everyone's face. Now, gather your chakra in the bottom of your feet and climb up a tree. This is also something you can do on your own time. You mean while we're waiting for you to help an old lady? Muttered Naruto. What was that? asked Kakashi, pretending he didn't hear anything. Anyways, this exercise will not only help with chakra control, but if you do this exercise long enough, stamina as well. If you can properly gauge the amount of chakra for this exercise, you can also properly gather the proper amount of chakra for a jutsu. Theoretically, if you can master this exercise, you can potentially master any jutsu. Now, take a kunai and use it to mark your progress up the tree. I suggest getting some momentum and running up the tree first, said Kakashi as he threw 3 kunai to his team. Right. I'm going to be the first one up to the top of the tree, Tebeo, exclaimed Naruto, receiving a look from Sasuke. Like a Doblik you could ever win, retorted Sasuke. The challenge was on. In one motion, all 3 of them began running at a tree with Naruto taking 1 step onto the tree before slipping off. Not enough chakra. Sasuke, on the other hand, had the opposite problem as the tree buckled under his step, too much chakra. Sakura, on the other hand. Hey, this is pretty easy, chirped Sakura, who was sitting atop a very high branch of the tree. What? This exercise was much harder than I thought, but how did she? Asked Sasuke to himself. So it appears I was right, said Kakashi. Everyone looked to Kakashi for an explanation. Out of the 3 of you, Sakura has the least amount of chakra, however, as a result she has the greatest degree of chakra control. Kakashi then turned to Sakura. That was exceptionally good for a first try, Sakura. Continue doing that for the time being and it'll help greatly with your stamina. Sakura nodded and smiled at her sensei's praise before Kakashi jumped down from his branch. Naruto, Sasuke, both of you have much larger reserves than her, making it harder for you to control that larger reserve. Keep doing this until you can reach the top, and then we'll move on to the next step, instructed Kakashi. Well, I'll leave you all to it. And he just left us. Sighed Naruto as Kakashi had done just that, left them to themselves. Yup, replied Sasuke. Suddenly, the 2 locked eyes and were back at it, trying to work their way up the trees. Days passed with Naruto and Sasuke finally managing to reach the top of the tree at the end of the 3rd. Naruto had tried to get an edge on his newly proclaimed rival by using his dojutsu one night to see if he could find the trick in the tree climbing, kind of like he did with the Kagebunshin no Jutsu. Unfortunately, in his vision he accomplished the exercise by trial and error, without the instruction of the forbidden scroll, which he supposedly saw. Sadly, he was on his own for this one. On the 3rd day of the exercise, Sasuke succeeded in defeating Naruto, but only by 1 attempt. When Sasuke made it to the top, Naruto followed on the next attempt. This only served to further fire their developing rivalry. As it stood, the score was 1-1 with Sasuke winning the tree climbing and Naruto doing better on the bell test. Sakura, who had completed the exercise within the first hours of being assigned it, found it difficult to keep up with her teammates who proved to have superior chakra reserves and stamina. Still, Kakashi had advised her to perform that exercise until the point of exhaustion to build up her stamina, and already she was beginning to feel a slight increase in her overall stamina. After their 1 full day of training, they were back to rotating the day between training, which Kakashi was late to, and D ranks. Thankfully with the training, they all had something to practice while waiting 2 hours for their AWOL sensei. About a week from when they started tree climbing, Kakashi took them out of the trees and towards the stream that flowed through the training ground. I think you 3 have the hang of tree climbing, so I'll move on to the second exercise, water walking. Kakashi gave an explanation that while tree climbing was about maintaining a certain amount of chakra, water walking focused on releasing the chakra at a constant rate. He also gave a quick explanation on the exercise itself. Okay Sakura, you go first. Giving a quick and slightly hesitant nod, Sakura gathered chakra into her feet and began to expel it at a constant rate. Taking her first step onto the water, Sakura slowly shifted her weight onto the surface, hoping it would hold and she would remain dry. Thankfully, as she transferred all of her weight to the foot on the water, she didn't fall, and although it was unsteady as she carefully took a few steps out onto the stream. Well, what do you know? To get it on the first go, her chakra controls already further than I expected, thought Kakashi. Wow! Way to go, Sakura-chan, exclaimed Naruto.
Naruto. Even Sasuke had a slight look of surprise and approval on
his face. This caused Sakura to blush and to eventually lose her concentration, causing her to plummet into the wet water. As she surfaced, it was pretty easy to tell that the pink-haired kunoichi was slightly embarrassed. The rest of that week passed with Sakura mastering the exercise within the first day. Naruto and Sasuke both took a few extra days, and in the end, like the tree climbing, it was Sasuke edging Naruto out by one attempt. By the end of the second week since they began chakra control exercises, it had been nearly a month since they became Team 7, and it was becoming obvious between Naruto and Sasuke that they were getting more and more irritated by the nature of the D-ranks. It came to the end of the day and Naruto was sitting at Ichiraku, enjoying a large bowl of beef ramen when his sensei came and took a seat next to him. "I'll have what he's having, only not quite as much," said Kakashi, ordering a bowl. "Kakashi-sensei? What are you doing here?" asked a confused Naruto, who still had noodles in his mouth. "Yo," waved Kakashi. "I was walking along, contemplating the meaning of life when I suddenly ended up here with no recollection of what I was doing before." Normally, Naruto would have practically strangled the Jonin at his use of another ridiculous excuse, but Naruto's response was slightly different and unexpected. "Well, of course you ended up here. The meaning of life is to enjoy as much ramen as possible." Kakashi actually got a small laugh out of that. "Actually, I'm here to talk to you about you know what," said Kakashi, grabbing Naruto's interest. "I've noticed that you haven't been using that special jutsu of yours recently." "I mean, I practice it a bit at home and stuff, but when I'm with the team, I can't really activate it without worrying that Sakura-chan or team might find out," replied Naruto. "I figured as much. You're not quite sure you want to tell them yet," said Kakashi. "I do, but what Hokage Gigi told me, about keeping my ability a secret," replied Naruto. "He also mentioned that you should share it with those you work closely with," replied Kakashi. "Remember? That's why it was revealed to me, although I would have liked to know before you blew up that log on me." "Hey, in my defense, a ninja's gotta have his secrets," replied Naruto. "True, but keeping secrets from your comrades, especially those you trust the most, can also have its downfalls," replied Kakashi. "Let me ask you this, do you trust them?" "Ha! What do you mean?" "Of course I trust them," replied Naruto almost instantaneously. "Sakura-chan, sure she might have not been the nicest person to me back in the academy, but during these past weeks, she's tried to help me out quite a bit with the chakra control exercises. If it wasn't for her, then I wouldn't have gotten them as fast as I could have. I know we had some rough times in the beginning, but we decided to move on. I trusted her not to do what she did on our first day as a team, and so far, she seemed to have completely let it go. As for Sasuke, I think I might have actually figured him out. In the academy, I was always jealous of him. All everyone did was talk about how great he was and all the girls went crazy for him, and all he did was ignore them. I just wanted an ounce of the attention he got. But these past few weeks, I've seen it too. I knew a while back that I was going to be the one teaching Sasuke. I have something that the village hopes he will awaken very soon," said Kakashi before he revealed his Sharingan to Naruto. "The Sharingan, the Uchiha clan's famed dojutsu. I got it as a gift from my friend, Uchiha Obito, before he passed away in the war. As it stands, I'm the only one in the village with a Sharingan." "Which is why they wanted you to teach Sasuke, right?" asked Naruto. Kakashi nodded. Yes. So I've been keeping an eye on him over the past few years, and I've noticed it too. Everyone just seems to throw themselves at him, giving him little gifts and favors, hoping to mooch off the wealth and power of the Uchiha clan when Sasuke finally gets around to reviving it. However, I strongly doubt that's what Sasuke wanted. You, on the other hand, have given Sasuke exactly what he wanted: someone to compete against, someone who can push him, someone to call a rival. He's lonely. He's wanted someone to acknowledge him ever since that day. As funny as it sounds, I think I get how he's feeling. Just after hearing that his family was murdered, I remember one day that I was walking along the edge of a river when I saw him, just sitting on a dock. He looked like he could have used someone then who really understood him, and now that I think about it, I probably should have just sat down next to him, explained Naruto. I also entrusted both of them with the fact that I have some sort of secret ability, and they haven't pressed me on it yet. If Sasuke was even half the arrogant bastard I had originally thought, then he probably would have threatened me to show it. And Sakura hasn't even once pushed the subject either. In fact, you've been the one putting the most pressure on me. Sorry, but I honestly think that it's about time for you to come clean. If you do, then this would mean you can actually start practicing with it and getting used to using the future sight in combat, said Kakashi. I'm sure I might even be able to give you some pointers on how to fight when you know what's coming. How would you do that? Asked Naruto. The Sharingan. If it's been trained enough, the Sharingan can predict the moves of your opponent, although not quite to the potential that your ability can, said Kakashi. Really? So that means that if Sasuke gets his Sharingan thingy and the two of us are fighting, we can just look at each other and figure out who's going to win? Naruto asked. Kakashi couldn't help but fault at this faulty conclusion of Naruto's. It wouldn't happen like that, although that would be interesting to say the least, said Kakashi. I also wanted to tell you one last reason why I think you should tell them sometime soon. I plan on requesting a more difficult mission for us tomorrow, said Kakashi. Really? Is it going to be something more than these stinking chores? Shouted Naruto with a lot of frustration in his voice. Yeah. I'm telling you now because it's obvious that you'd probably just go home and try to look into what mission we have for tomorrow. Kind of like the other day when you borrowed Akamaru to scare Tora, said Kakashi. Hey, that dumb cat had it coming, shrugged Naruto. Kakashi sighed. Anyways, I'm going to request an easier C rank for us tomorrow. It's something that will ease you guys into more appropriate missions for ninja, which means that encounters with hostile enemies are likely, said Kakashi. My one piece of advice when dealing with an enemy is you never know what will happen. But I can just see what they're going to do, said Naruto. That's not what I'm talking about. In order to see what's going to happen, you need to use your eyes. But if you use them, there's a chance that both Sasuke and Sakura could see them, and without them knowing about it, could add another variable that you never saw coming until just that moment, said Kakashi. I see. I think I get what you're saying, said Naruto. I think I'll tell them. After the mission if I don't find a good time to do it during the mission. That sounds fine, and thank you Naruto, replied Kakashi before he got up and left. A little later, Naruto realized the thank you wasn't for agreeing to reveal his bloodline to his team, but rather for the bowl of ramen that Kakashi had forgotten to pay for. Okay Team 7, your next duty is either babysitting an elder's grandson, shopping in the neighboring village, or, it looks like Tora ran away again. Everyone on Team 7 paled when the Hokage mentioned that the infamous Catch Tora mission was back on the rosters. No. I don't want any more lame chores, declared Naruto, making an X with his arms. Hokage-sama, with all due respects, I was actually thinking that my team was ready for a slightly more difficult mission, said Kakashi, stepping forward. Sasuke's head perked up at the mention of a more difficult mission. What? But the only been
infamous Catch Tora mission was back on the rosters.
No. Rosters. No. I don't want any more lame chores, declared Naruto, making an X with his arms. Hokage-sama, with all due respects, I was actually thinking that my team was ready for a slightly more difficult mission, said Kakashi, stepping forward. Sasuke's head perked up at the mention of a more difficult mission. What? But the V only been Jinin for maybe a month now. It's usually 4 to 6 months before a team is given a C-rank mission, argued Irika. And in rare cases, maybe 2 months. Well, I think my team's an extremely rare case. Besides, we've foreseen that a simple C-rank mission shouldn't pose any problems, said Kakashi, who slightly tilted his head in Naruto's direction, earning a sigh out of Irika. Are you certain, Kakashi? Asked the Hokage. I am, replied Kakashi. I've done things solo that are much more difficult than a C-rank, and should in the very rare chance that we get in over our heads, I'll be able to cover for my team. Very well, if you truly believe they are ready, I'll start you out with an easy one, said the Hokage as he sifted through scrolls on his desk. Here we go, I'll give you a low-ranked protection mission of a certain individual. Send in the client. What's this? A bunch of super brats, called out an obviously drunken older man who smelled strongly of sake and had a pack on his back. Especially the short one with the stupid-looking face. Haha. Who's the shortest one with the stupid face, laughed Naruto. In a matter of seconds, he would regret not looking into this event earlier with his Sharingan. One angered Naruto and a death threat later. I am the super expert bridge builder Tazuna. I expect you to provide me with super protection until I can get back to my country and complete my super bridge, exclaimed the old man. This guy's about as messed up in the head as that time guy was. He says super about as much as time said time, thought Naruto. On their way out of the mission hall, Team 7 ran into Team 8. Careful, Catch Tora is back on the roster, Naruto said to Kiba as all of Team 8 now paled at the mentioning of that mission. I think we'll come back for our mission after lunch, said Team 8's Jonin instructor, a red-eyed kunoichi by the name of Yuhi Kurinai. Kiba and Akamaru let out a sigh of relief as they turned to exit the mission hall. All the while, the gaze of a certain young pale-eyed girl not being able to break away from the bright orange object of its desires. As everyone got outside the building, shouting could be heard from the mission hall. YOSH! We will reunite poor Tora-chan with her precious owner before noon, or else I'll do 1000 push UPS. And if I cannot do those, then I will do 100 laps around Konoha. Lee. Your youthful spirit burns brightly this fine morning. GAI-sensei. Lee. Everyone. Run. Now, Kakashi warned. The panicked expression on the Jonin's face was enough convincing for everyone to heed his warning. Just as everyone was at a safe distance, a powerful blast of youthful light exploded from the room as a wave of immense passion crashed through the window. Yeah, the mission hall wasn't the most ideal place for an ocean sunset. Wow, this is the first time away from the village, exclaimed Naruto, as he frantically took in the sights from just outside the massive wooden gates of Konoha. PST, am I really going to be safe with this brat? Asked Tazuna, only serving to irritate Naruto. About 10 minutes later, Naruto declaring that he was going to be the best ninja, Tazuna questioning Naruto's abilities, and a few death threats later, Team 7 had departed for Nami no Kuni. On the way to the wave, Kakashi gave a brief explanation of the 5 great nations and the hidden villages, also explaining how Nami, a smaller island country, didn't have a ninja village. A few hours in their travels passed with the team guarding Tazuna in a formation when just ahead of them, a small puddle came into view. That's odd. What would a puddle be doing here, especially since it hasn't rained in days, thought Kakashi. He brushed the thought to the back of his head for the moment, but looked over towards Naruto, who looked to have an almost panicked expression on his face. Upon coming upon that puddle, Naruto's Sharingan immediately activated, warning him of the dangers ahead, 2 ninja hiding in the puddle. Naruto immediately looked over to Kakashi, but the Jonin gave him a sign to calm down and that. What was that? Sasuke asked himself in surprise. He had caught the blonde's change in expression followed by a momentary change in his teammate's eye. Sasuke didn't have much more time to think as two clawed ninja wearing masks and headbands of Kirigakure with a slash mark through the headbands. In an instant, they were upon the travelers, wrapping the most experienced in the group up in chains. What? Everyone else's eyes lit up in shock at the events that had just transpired in the blink of an eye. One down. In one quick motion, the two attackers pulled on the chains, shredding Kakashi to pieces. That very moment, Naruto's dojutsu had activated itself out of response of Naruto's troubled situation. Two down, the attacking ninja said before swiping at Naruto with their claws. Frozen, Naruto barely managed to move his hand to block, getting cut in the process before Sasuke could throw a kunai and shuriken to pin their chain to a nearby tree. Kicking the two attackers in the face, Sasuke sent them stumbling back before they released their chain and continued their assault at Tazuna. Sasuke had saved the day, but all Naruto had done was frozen at the sight of the attackers. No, there's no way I'm letting Sasuke team take all the fun. I can do this, Tebeo. Naruto thought to himself, stealing his resolve. There was no way he was going to freeze up like he had done in that vision. The two ninja moved in to attack Naruto, swiping at his head with their claws. Naruto ducked underneath the swipe as the claw passed overhead and Sasuke's kunai and shuriken came sailing through the air, catching the chain and pinning it to the tree. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, exclaimed Naruto, forming a single clone that was squatting just beneath the two ninja. Sasuke kicked the back of their heads as he landed, timing his attack just perfectly with the double uppercut Naruto and his clone had delivered to the two ninjas' faces. The two ninjas stumbled backwards as Naruto stood up, joined at the side by Sasuke, who just sent the blonde a smirk. Sasuke turned his attention back to their attackers, but not before taking in a quick glimpse in the change of Naruto's eyes. They weren't their normal blue and instead had a whitish-purple 12-point star in them. Both attackers rushed Naruto and Sasuke before breaking up at blurring speeds as they made their way towards their true target, the bridge builder. Naruto had seen this and moved to intercept the one closest to him. However, Sasuke didn't have the blessing of knowing what would happen and his ninja was the one who made it through their defense. Naruto had managed to delay his attacker for just a moment, but the ninja's speed was still too great for him to deal with and before Naruto could react, both ninja were upon the bridge builder. Sakura jumped in the way with a kunai at the ready just as the claws of the attacking ninja closed in on their target. However, before any blood could be drawn, both ninja were knocked unconscious by Kakashi as he caught them in a headlock. Kakashi-sensei, cheered Sakura. PFT, show off, scoffed Sasuke. Naruto let out a sigh of relief before turning to where Kakashi had once stood, only to see a shredded log. Nice job all three of you, smiled Kakashi. And now for the questions. Naruto, what's up with your eyes? Asked Sakura in shock as she pointed to Naruto's eyes. Naruto cursed himself as he realized the Sharingan was still active. You have a dojutsu, don't you Dobe? Inquired Sasuke. Naruto sighed. He had been hoping to put off explaining this to his team for a bit longer, but there was no hiding it now. Before answering Sasuke's question, he turned to Kakashi. You planned this, didn't you? No. I asked for a C-rank mission. These are the demon brothers of Kirigakure no Sato. They are Chunin-level ninja known to keep fighting no matter what, said Kakashi. On a C-rank mission, there shouldn't be any confrontation with other ninja. There's something else going on and I intend to find out what. I'll be back in a little bit, but when I come back, you and I, Tazuna, are going to have a little chat. With that, Kakashi took the demon brothers back into the woods to have a little chat. So am I right, Dobe? Pushed Sasuke. Yeah, replied Naruto. Dojutsu? Asked Sakura, trying to think back upon the lectures from the academy. They're techniques, answered Sasuke. Dojutsus are typically associated with a clan, kind of like my clan was known for the Sharingan. There's also another clan, the Hyugas, that have a dojutsu as well, the Byakugan. They're special bloodlines that give their bearers special abilities. Wait, you said your clan has this Sharingan dojutsu? Sakura asked. Does that mean you have it? Sasuke groaned at this. Mine hasn't activated yet. Well, maybe Naruto knows. I mean, it looks like his is active, said Sakura. They are all different. The Sharingan only shows itself under certain conditions while the Hyuga's Byakugan awoken at a certain age, said Sasuke. Naruto's, so what is your dojutsu anyways? I don't think I've seen that one. It's called the Sharingan. As to how it activated, I don't have the slightest clue. On the day of graduation I started having these strange visions of the future and discovered I had this bloodline, replied Naruto. Sharingan, future's eye. Does that mean you can see into the future or something, Naruto? Asked Sakura. That's exactly what it does, replied Naruto. That actually sounds pretty useful, replied Sasuke. I wonder if he could find out when I'll awaken my Sharingan and how I do it. Is there anything else it can do? Look, I'd like to tell you, but do you think we could do it somewhere where we won't be attacked by enemy ninja? Asked Naruto. As if on cue, screams and cries of pain came from the forest behind them. Fine, but you better tell us everything, replied Sakura. You've had it for so long and you haven't told us about it? I'm sorry, I didn't want to keep it from you guys, but I just wasn't quite sure how to tell you, apologized Naruto. Don't press it, you two. You'll understand why he was a little weary about revealing it when he tells you further, said Kakashi as he calmly waltzed out of the woods. Now Tazuna, we've got something to discuss. These ninja weren't after us. Our mission was to protect you from common bandits, not ninja. This mission is at least B rank now, if not a rank. We aren't ready for this mission. It's way out of our abilities, said a sweating Sakura. I understand. If you must know, the reason I only got a C rank was because that was all I or my country could afford. Nami no Kuni is a poor country with one big problem that started over a year ago when Gato came to our country. He promised us with wealth and prosperity, but instead took control of our island's shipping businesses. Before we knew it, he controlled the entire island, robbing us of everything we had to fuel his drug, weapons trading, and human trafficking operations. He's a criminal who will just kill anyone who opposes him. That's why I need your protection, to complete my bridge and liberate my country from Gato's control, explained Tazuna. I've heard of Gato before. He's one of the world's wealthiest people who runs a shipping company on the outside. However, I wouldn't have a hard time believing that there's more to him than just a shipping company, said Kakashi. His monopoly on all our business traffic quickly gave him control of our island. Life in Nami no Kuni is, well, you'll see when you get there, but to say the least, it's terrible, said Tazuna. My bridge, however, is the one thing he fears. So those ninja who were after you were sent by Gato, deduced Sakura. Yeah, and if you quit the mission now, I'll definitely be killed. But don't worry about it, laughed Tazuna. If I die, the worst thing that will happen is that my cute 10-year-old grandson will cry for a few days, and then they'll come after my daughter. The last part was said as a sense of dread overtook Tazuna. Don't worry, old man, we'll take the mission and kick the crap out of this Gato guy's ass, declared Naruto, speaking for the group. I'm down if it means more challenging fights, said Sasuke. I guess I'm in, Sakura added, although a lot of hesitation and reluctance present in her voice. I suppose I have no say in the matter, so we'll continue to protect you, Tazuna-san, said Kakashi, finding himself overruled by a bunch of 12-year-olds. But once your country gets back on your feet, you're going to have to pay for the full price of the mission. I understand, and thank you all very much, replied Tazuna. At some forest hideaway. You failed. I pay you a lot of money, and all I ask is for you to kill a certain old man, yelled a frustrated man, wearing a pinstripe suit, who was also lacking in the height department. Sitting on the couch opposite of him, and the one who was forced to be subjected to the cries of the screaming man, this man wearing bandages covering the lower half of his face, and a scratched-out Kirigakure Hitaiate grabbed the large broadsword from his back. Stop your bitching. This time, I'll go myself with my Kubikiribocho, and kill them all, said the swordsman. Are you sure? Mocked the short man. It seems the enemy has hired some skilled ninja. And with the failure of the demon brothers, they'll be more cautious. Who do you think I am? Asked the bandaged man. There's a reason I'm called the demon of the hidden mist, Momoichi Zabuza. Wow. It's huge, exclaimed Naruto, as he came within sight of the large bridge that spanned most of the gap between the island of Nami no Kuni and the mainland of Hai no Kuni. Everyone was riding upon a boat provided by a fisherman who was risking his own neck to help smuggle Tazuna and his hired ninjas back into the country. Be quiet, shouted the ferryman. Why do you think we're hiding in this mist and not using the engine? We'll be in deep trouble if Gato finds us. Tazuna, it looks like we're clear so far, but just in case I'm going to take a safer route that has vegetation, said the ferryman, earning a nod from Tazuna. Minutes later, they were dropped off at a nearby dock before the ferryman took off. Okay. Get me home safely, exclaimed Tazuna. If we get attacked again, it will surely be a Jonin-level opponent, thought Kakashi before sighing. Ha, thought Naruto as his eyes suddenly activated once again, a warning sign to all. Watch out! Get down! Kakashi shouted, dragging Tazuna and Sakura to the ground with him, Naruto and Sasuke diving to the ground themselves as a massive blade sailed over their heads, embedding itself in a nearby tree. When everyone looked up, they saw a man standing on top of the blade, another Rouge ninja here for Tazuna's head. But this guy wasn't just any Rouge ninja. If it isn't Momoichi Zabuza, missing ninja from Kirigakure, said Kakashi. Just as Naruto was about to charge at the man, Kakashi held out a hand, stopping the blonde. Don't rush in carelessly. This guy is way above your level. Stay back and guard Tazuna and keep a watch ahead for me, okay? It will be a little more difficult this time around. Looks like I'm going to need this, said Kakashi as he raised his headband revealing his other eye, and the Sharingan. Well, Sharingan Kakashi. Grinned Zabuza. Sharingan, thought a surprised Sasuke as Kakashi revealed the very dojutsu he was still lacking at this point. I already get to see the famous Sharingan, I'm honored, smirked Zabuza, that is if you could see under the bandages. Tell me Kakashi, was the bingo book I kept true when it said you had copied 1,000 jutsus? Copy Ninja Kakashi? Wow. Is Sensei really that great, thought Sakura. How does he have the Sharingan? It only manifests itself in a select few members of the Uchiha clan? Sasuke was now busy trying to answer some questions of his own. Now then, mind stepping out of the way while I kill that old man, asked Zabuza, only to get silence and a glare from Kakashi. I see, it seems I have to beat you first. With that, Zabuza leapt off the tree and into the nearby river of water. Suiton, Kirigakure no Jutsu, Water Release, Hidden Mist Jutsu. Just as Zabuza cast his jutsu, a thick blanket of mist rolled over the group of Konoha ninja. Momoichi Zabuza, as a member of Kirigakure, he was a known expert in silent killing, advised Kakashi. You don't even notice until you're already dead. Keep on your guard. It's not like I can use the Sharingan perfectly. Naruto, your eyes would be more effective in this situation, but I am the one who has to face Zabuza. Keep an eye on your comrades. Suddenly, an ominous voice called out from beyond the mist. 8 choices: liver, lungs, spine, clavicle vein, neck vein, brain, kidneys, heart. Which one should I go after? All of a sudden, a wave of massive killing intent overcame all 3 genin, and Sasuke was the first one who started sweating profusely. Before he knew it, he was reaching for the knife, ready to end his own life just to make the pressure stop. Sasuke! Kakashi shouted, breaking the young Uchiha out of his stupor. Don't worry, I'll protect you guys even if it costs me my life. I don't let my comrades die. Between us, shouted Naruto. At that very moment, Zabuza appeared in between the 3 genin and the bridge builder, but it was too late for him to make any sort of attack as Kakashi was already on the move. Zabuza was forced to abandon his endeavor before he could even swing his massive sword, but even then Kakashi drove his kunai into Zabuza's gut. Naruto was about to open his mouth, but his eyes were seeing far enough ahead right now to know that it was not necessary, despite Zabuza coming up from behind and cleaving Kakashi in two. Just as Zabuza had done from Kakashi's kunai stab, Kakashi burst into water. Water clone? But how? In this mist? Zabuza immediately felt the cold steel edge of a kunai being pressed up against his neck. "It's over," declared Kakashi. "Shit. Kakashi-sensei, move," shouted Naruto. Kakashi looked behind him just in time to avoid a kick by Zabuza that would have sent him skidding into the water. Naruto let out a sigh of relief. Phew, that was close. Kakashi-sensei almost fell in the water and got caught in some weird water prison. Upon hearing this, Zabuza's eyes shot open in surprise. How the hell did that brat know what I was going to do? Ha, thanks Naruto, thought Kakashi, realizing that he had just avoided being captured by a Suiro no Jutsu, water prison. Zabuza created 2 water clones. Something weird is going on with that brat. I'm going to have to take him out as well. His clones darted around Kakashi, who attempted to dispel them, but was forced to dodge a large sword aimed for his head instead. Naruto and Sasuke would have to deal with Zabuza's water clones as Kakashi had his hands full with the real Zabuza. The group guarding Tazuna was forced to break apart as the 2 clones. One of the clones made a break for Naruto while the other made a go for Sakura and the bridge builder. Katon, Gokakyu no Jutsu. The Zabuza clone heading towards Tazuna jumped back just in time to avoid the giant fireball heading his way. So it looks like I gotta go through another brat as well, smirked Zabuza as he faced down Sasuke. Seeing the sword swipe coming, Naruto was able to dodge the large blade in time and create enough room between himself and his attacker. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. About 24 Narutos poofed into existence and charged the Zabuza clone, practically forming a dome of orange around the missing nin. However, the attack was short-lived as Zabuza tossed all of the Narutos back, dispelling the clones and causing the original to slide back to where Sasuke was, with a single swipe of his blade. Like Naruto, even Sasuke found himself overpowered as Zabuza smacked Sasuke with the blunt edge of his sword, sending the young Uchiha back and hurting in the back where he was hit. "Stupid brats, you don't deserve to be called ninja if you can't beat one of my clones," said the Zabuza clone. Kakashi looked over to see his 2 students struggling to fend off the Zabuza clones and knew he would have to do something to help them out. Despite the clones only being 10% as powerful as the real Zabuza, Kakashi was still beginning to doubt their abilities against this opponent. "I don't think we can beat them head-on," said Naruto. "Got any bright ideas?" asked Sasuke. "I think so." "Got something a little more widespread than your fireball?" asked Naruto, getting a nod from Sasuke. The moment Naruto pulled out a large collapsed Fuma Shuriken. Somehow, Sasuke could immediately tell what Naruto had planned. "You sure you can throw that?" asked Sasuke, knowing very well that a Fuma Shuriken required a little bit more skill than a normal Shuriken. "I may not be a weapons expert, but I've been practicing a little with one of these after you showed it to me that day in training," said Naruto. "Besides, I'm the one who knows where to throw it." Sasuke nodded before beginning his jutsu. Katon, Hozenka no Jutsu. Fire Release, Phoenix Sage Fire Jutsu. Over a dozen fireballs shot from Sasuke's mouth in a random fashion as they headed for Zabuza. The clones smirked, knowing well that all they to do was jump back to avoid it. Both clones jumped, but just as one of the clones took to the air, the Fuma Shuriken that Naruto had thrown burst from out of one of the fireballs and nicked the side of the clone. If that was the real Zabuza, that wouldn't be enough to take him down, but since it was a clone, it was enough to cause the clone to revert back into water. The other clone let out a slight growl before just narrowly avoiding a kunai that had been thrown from behind. Sending a quick look behind him, he realized that the shuriken that had been thrown earlier was actually Naruto transformed into the shuriken. "What was that about not being able to take out one of your clones?" mocked Sasuke. Naruto regrouped into Sasuke before creating a few clones, and sent them charging at the Zabuza clone. The Zabuza clone ducked, dodged, and hacked his way through Naruto clones until he felt his movements starting to slow until he was practically immobilized. Sasuke smirked as the Naruto clones had done their job, delivering and entangling Zabuza in ninja wire. Katon, Ryuka no Jutsu. Fire raced from Sasuke's mouth down the wires, incinerating the entangled Zabuza. Sasuke now stood with his hands on his knees panting. For a Genin, pulling of 3 elemental jutsus in a battle was far from expected and Sasuke was already getting tired. It appears Naruto and Sasuke are done. What do you say we finish things up here, said Kakashi. Both he and Kakashi jumped towards the water and began cycling through the exact same hand seals. Suiton, Suiryuden no Jutsu. Twin water dragons rose up from out of the water and crashed down upon each other, sending a large wave of water upon everyone. Whoa! Gasped Naruto. He copied that many seals in mere seconds perfectly, thought Sasuke, amazed with Kakashi's skill using the Sharingan, all while wondering how exactly Kakashi got it. Zabuza and Kakashi were soon circling each other in a dance of sorts, matching each other's moves perfectly. Damn, my movements, he's completely reading them, finished Kakashi, startling Zabuza. What? Did he read my mind? That damned freaky eye is pissing me off. Right, finished Kakashi. Ha, all you're doing is copying me. You can't beat me, you monkey bastard, declared Zabuza as he began a jutsu, only for Kakashi to finish the jutsu first as Zabuza stopped upon seeing an image of himself appear behind Kakashi. Suiton, Daibakufa no Jutsu. Water release, great waterfall technique. What? Impossible, shouted Zabuza before getting blasted with a massive wave before the wave tore through the landscape and threw Zabuza against a tree. As Kakashi jumped up onto the tree, he lodged a number of kunai into Zabuza's limbs, immobilizing him. How can you see the future? Yeah, you're going to die, replied Kakashi. Well, not really, but I can actually say I know someone who can. Kakashi-sensei. Naruto shouted before two Senbon came flying in, nailing Zabuza in the neck.